Thunderstorms growing near the Philippines, but could it be our first tropical cyclone? On tonight's Tropical Weather Bulletin. And now the latest around the wide world of tropics. Tropical Weather Bulletin for May 17th. The tropics are relatively quiet around the world right now, as they have been really for a fair while. The Northern Hemisphere, of course, still hasn't seen any storms form so far, which is only a week behind where we were last year when the storm Ewinia finally formed on May 24th. Well, it's the 17th in the Atlantic. There's nothing to look at right now. It's 15 days until the hurricane season begins, so we're not quite expecting to see anything just yet, but you never know. And of course, in recent years, the Atlantic has always been quite early to fire off, but nothing yet forthcoming. Neither is it in the Eastern Pacific. Those two little systems that we were watching the last couple of days completely faded now into obscurity, and very little in terms of cloud patterns to be looking out there to get anyone excited, and certainly over land areas, very little in terms of cloudiness. In the Western Pacific, we've still got this area of interest that we've marked at a 20% chance in the next 5 or maybe even 7 days. It could end up developing much later on, if it does at all. GFS is even going cold on this one now, at barely becoming a tropical depression. In the North Indian Ocean, things are looking fairly quiet in general in terms of cyclones, but a very broad system there over the Bay of Bengal, throwing up some significant thunderstorms in a big old band there, moving through Sri Lanka and southern India. In the southwest Indian Ocean, there's no systems active right now. You'll see that little X on the right hand side there. That's just about into the Australian region still, only just. That is the one that we've been tracking for a while. It's the only thing really to talk about in the southern hemisphere now, because we've scrubbed that other system. You can still see its remnant track there, what it did, but it is now gone. But C5 there on the left hand side, far away from anything, still with a very low chance of development, and it has actually deepened slightly, but extremely broad. So here's a look at satellite imagery of the various systems that are currently active right now. First, the most promising system, this Western Pacific disturbance, clearly throwing up a lot of thunderstorms right now. We've tagged it at the designation H5, 20% chance of development, 30 mile per hour winds and 1009 millibars, pretty much the same as it was yesterday, and slowly moving towards the west-northwest. Most of that convection near Palau. If it does get a center, we expect it's probably going to be around equidistant from Palau, between Palau and the Philippines. Well, there it is again on a wider shot as we get the first visibles of the day, and you can see it is very stacked up along that eastern side. And we look at the water vapor imagery, a very moist environment around it. That's going to continue as it moves through the Philippines over the next few days, and regardless of development, it does look like we're going to get a bit of a rainmaker going on here, which could of course cause localized flash flooding and potential issues there. But at the moment, most of it is still away from land. Well, here's the other one that we've got right now, 10% chance and really looking rather miserable. 30 mile per hour winds, but 1005 millibars, which is just a little bit deeper than what it has been in recent days. So moving southwards by the looks of things at the moment, but very broad, very disorganized, and really not much going with it at all as well. Wider view of the Australian region, and you can see a big frontal system moving off the coast of New South Wales. There was one point where it looked like it could have tried to spin up a subtropical cyclone out of all of that there, but it isn't going to happen that way. But it will throw a lot of heavy weather into New Zealand very shortly. Well, here's the US right now. We have some significant severe weather going on today, a moderate risk, and some dangerous tornadoes active right now as this bulletin goes out. This is the main development region for the Atlantic, and just to help you along there, I've marked Beryl Alley out there. Of course, the early season surprise that we had last year, well, that's what's going on there right now. Very little at this time, just a few storm clouds here and there. Eastern Pacific, even quieter, very little going on here now. Mostly clear skies, a few small areas of stormy weather. And now taking a look at Japan, and you can see a significant extratropical system that's been pushing through the Korean peninsula, now really dropping quite a lot of heavy rainfall over the Japanese islands, most of it on that side as well from the center of that very broad system, looking quite impressive. Probably some strong winds in there at times as well. And here's an even broader system, the Bay of Bengal. You can see potentially a little bit of a rotation going on in parts of this, whatever it is, but across the whole basin there, sub-basin, we've got storms blowing up on the southern and western side. This is the South Pacific, very little going on here now, a little frontal system there south of French Polynesia. And this is another viewpoint of the US East Coast region, of course looking at radar imagery, and you can see some of those supercells that were firing up earlier on, and we have some major tornado impacts currently ongoing. And this is another view of Japan once again. Looks like the heaviest of the rainfall there over Shikoku, possibly heading in towards Osaka and Kyoto. And this is the southern Chinese region. A few thunderstorms here blowing up as well, particularly further towards the west on this viewpoint, heading towards the east-northeast. Well, sea surface temperatures gradually on the incline as we head towards the warmer months. The hot spots in the Atlantic around 29 degrees Celsius to the south of Cuba. In the eastern Pacific, 1 or 2 spots of 30 and maybe even higher in terms of temperature there, south of Mexico and off the coast of Guatemala and El Salvador as well. Early season, could be seeing systems somewhere near there. Western Pacific got the really warm areas there off Palawan in the Philippines, and off the west coast in general into the South China Sea, 32 degrees Celsius. On the eastern coast, still looking pretty good as well, 31 degrees where that system is that we're watching. Bay of Bengal extremely warm over a wide area, so tons of energy there for that moisture to build up, 32 degrees in quite a few spots. Arabian Sea also looking good. Well, compared to normal, this is how it's looking, and you'll clearly see the Bay of Bengal there, quite solid, 2 to 3 degrees above average. Western Pacific is around 2 degrees in the tropical regions, but a little bit higher in those subtropical and extratropical zones. The Atlantic a little bit more temperate, and the Eastern Pacific is around half and half of that blue area there, of course, being below average temperatures, so storms heading out to sea are going to struggle a little bit if that trend keeps up. Oceanic heat content shows significant amounts actually in parts of the Eastern Pacific where we expect those first systems to form. In the Western Pacific though, it certainly does eclipse the eastern part by quite some margin, with very high oceanic heat content amounts there off the coast of the Philippines. And in the Atlantic, Caribbean mainly, moderate amounts extending into the Gulf of Mexico there, and a few other spots towards the western side of the Gulf also starting to get a little bit higher, and some small amounts off the coast of Florida too. All through the Greater Antilles, amounts there for heat energy is rising. Well, this is a GFS computer model over the next 5 days, and every time we get onto this, it seems to get less optimistic about this system that's moving through the Philippines. We're looking out for any of those blue areas there that show winds of 30 miles per hour or higher. We see some at the beginning, then the system moves through the Philippines, doesn't really get a rotation going. We're looking at the cloud cover there, and lots of rain falling over this period of time as the system is still traceable there into the South China Sea, not looking quite as good. However, regardless of development or otherwise, it will be a producing rainmaker, and that's what we've been alluding to for this bulletin so far. But interestingly, actually, the rainfall expectations have dropped a little bit from the last update as well, so another parameter that's been tapered down a little bit. Still, we could be seeing up to 300 millimeters of rainfall over parts of Mindanao, which can easily cause issues, and over large parts of the Visayas and Palawan region getting up and above 100 millimeters, getting towards 150. Well, in the longer range, day 5 to 10, we're looking out for potentially 2 signatures. There's the first one moving over the South China Sea, but very weak now. You may remember last night's bulletin calling for a typhoon, and there's that second one that was also going to be a significant typhoon. And on this particular run, it becomes a tropical storm briefly. Well, we're first circling the one that's currently active, that's about to move through the Philippines on the other side there, and then that second system on the bottom right in the end, making a tropical storm landfall on Samar and then starting to move northwards. Scan the barcode and that will take you through to the Force 13 merch store, where you can take a look at all our items as well as our full season and individual storm animations on request. And of course, you can check out all of our outlets and places to be on Force 13 through our Linktree page. And in the silly fantasy range, well, we're still tracking that system, continuing northwards there, and then it starts to pull away a lot further towards the northeast now. I'm starting to get Winyar vibes again, and it does become a typhoon there, very broad typhoon in the end. There it is, moving up towards the northeast. It does miss Japan by the looks of things, which is good news, but that's right around towards the end of the model run, up to day 16. It's a long way out, of course, that's entering June even, and so it's something that's very, very speculative and not to be taken seriously at this time. North Indian Ocean similarly, because the GFS has now picked up on a very long-range system to become a substantial cyclone as we look at that. Large and somewhat powerful, category 1 or 2 on those yellow zones. And of course it goes right into the coast of Bangladesh and West Bengal. Obviously very vulnerable areas of real estate here, very low elevations, so storm surge could be a massive issue with something like that, but once again very, very far away, so let's not think about that too heavily just yet. Speaking of very far away in time, this was May 17th, 1930 that we thought we'd take a look at today, because there were 2 storms active in the Western Pacific at this time, and almost a similar configuration to what we could have from this current setup. 5W moving towards Japan, about to die off actually, post-tropical, and 6W, which became a category 1 typhoon just before it curved northwards into Hainan Island and then on towards the Chinese mainland. That was on this day almost 100 years ago, 95. Well, back to today then, and in the Atlantic, of course, our first name of this season will be Andrea. In the Eastern Pacific, it will be Alvin, and in the Central Pacific, the next name on the list is Iona. It's probably going to take about 10 centuries to get through that list. 25 storms so far around the world this year. In the Western Pacific, it's Wu Tip coming up, and in the North Indian Ocean, it will be Shakti next on the list. For the Southwest Indian Ocean in the Southern Hemisphere, we've got till the end of June before the names refresh to a new list. For the time being, the next name is Lyra. In the Australian region, the next name is Fina, and in the South Pacific, it will be Ermil. We'll be back with another tropical weather bulletin Sunday night into Monday morning.
Become an Ultimate Fan today.